And now it's time for Judge Joe Brown. He's the real deal in the courtroom today.
My stepdaughter is so spoiled, she thinks I should make her car payments.
She told me not to worry about it, so I'm not worrying about it.
A young mother's priorities have her parting ways with her family. Data entry clerk Angelina Warren is suing her stepdaughter for car payments. Defendant Stephanie St. John says that car was a gift.
Now, here's Judge Joe Brown.
You're alleging, ma'am, that you made a loan to the defendant?
Yes, sir.
To pay off a 2006 Kia Spectra. Vehicle's been repoed by the banks and sold at auction.
That's correct.
Okay, let's hear from it. What happens here?
I went reluctantly and signed for her to get a new car.
Why'd you do that?
Because I was stupid.
What about the 2005?
The 2005, she paid on time. She worked every day, and she paid it for a year. She was going to school, working 2 jobs. She was very responsible until she met a boyfriend.
I figured the boy got in it.
I'd met him way before that. I'd met him way before that.
Okay, well, somewhere in there, somebody started, and you're the aunt. Why don't you come on up, too? You come on up here, since you're the one that's telling us she's doing right. But anyway, keep going. You have the floor.
And so I went ahead and I went with her after she got pregnant, and I signed for her because she was responsible and everything to get this second car so she could have a bigger car for this baby and her to ride around in. And her aunt also done a newspaper route on it for about 3 months. So, you know, she never helped.
You used that to help you throw your paper out?
No, sir, that is not what happened.
I think it is.
Did you ride in it?
Did I not tell you not to buy that car for her?
That's my
I
decision.
told you, that's right. That was your decision. I told you she couldn't afford it. She was living with me.
No, she was not
Oh,
living
she's
with you.
living with you?
Yes, she
She
was.
got a boyfriend, got pregnant by the boyfriend she's been in love with. She's
His quote
giving
is
her a ride.
that, you know, he don't owe her anything. He don't have to pay nothing for that baby or that car.
That's
it's not
what
his
she's told you.
responsibility.
How do you have a quote for that? You don't talk to him whatsoever.
I talked to him in the driveway of my house, and he told me that himself.
Judge Joe Brown, before the car was ever bought, the first car, Don and Angie come to my home. They came several times. Her husband is friends with my husband. They talked about buying Stephanie a car. They asked, would we talk to Stephanie and try to get her to be part of his life? So he had never been a part of her life.
Excuse me.
And we did buy her a car and give it to her.
Excuse me. You've been talking to him to try to make her part of his life, or talking to her about letting him be part of hers?
That's right.
Oh.
For 21 years, he wasn't part of her life. And
Well, do you have any idea why
He was part
not?
of her life for 2.5 years because her mother dropped her on our doorstep when she was 6 months old, and I raised her until she was 2.
Well, that's not true. I have pictures of her
I don't
with
care.
me and my child.
I don't care what pictures you got.
Well,
I know what I done.
I helped too.
And
How
she
old is
moved
your
to
husband?
Elkin, and she moved to Elkin.
How
and
old is your husband?
My husband is 42 years old because he just turned 42, March the 16th.
And how old is your mama, Stephanie?
36, 37.
She was only 14 when she had Stephanie, so she had to have a lot of help. And I've been a part of this child's life off and on ever since she was a baby.
Did you go to Elkin and stay
And
with her when her
she-
great aunt and uncle had her custody, full physical,
No, but I
legal
seen her.
custody?
Yeah, that was because the court, that's the way it was
Because
appointed
your
from the
mother
court.
was sorry.
When she
No,
was-
because
Where's your
my
mother?
mother was
Where's your
16
mother?
years old and
Where's your
could not.
mother now?
She is in South Carolina with her husband.
Stephanie has had a hard time. That's true. She lived with
Well,
her.
let me put this to you. You know, you want to badmouth the plaintiff and her husband. Your mother's 36 years old, so since your mother's been 21 and you've been 8 years old, why come your mother hasn't taken care of you then?
My mother has taken care of me.
Since she's been 8? Since you've been 8?
Yes. I moved back in with my mom when I was 11 years old.
Well,
And-
I didn't say 11, I said 8.
8, her grandmother had custody of her
Your
before.
mother was 21 years old, lollygagging around, and when you were 8 years old, she could have gotten you back because she was 21.
Judge Joe Brown, none
So
of them were
why are we
responsible.
getting like this and you're talking about the only reason that they're doing is because he's trying to get back in my life and you needed a car? Why didn't you turn it down?
I bought her a car. Me
Now,
and her
hold on.
husband
Why
did.
didn't you turn it down since you wanted to interject?
I was going to, but
But
you
you
know,
didn't. You got a
Exactly.
2005,
But
not
if-
a hoopty,
I
not a
told her not
wore-out,
to
raggedy
buy.
something that was your first car. By the way, your first car. You got a brand new vehicle.
No, that was not my first car. I've had cars since I was 16 years old.
How'd you get it when you're 16?
Her mama.
My mom.
Oh, Mom came back in life.
My mom's always been there. No, my mom
Doesn't sound
have,
like it to me. Where is she now?
She's
She's
seen
in
her
South
when she was
Carolina.
allowed to.
Doing
I'm 23
what?
years old now.
Doing what?
Doing living.
You're a little young to know what her problems are.
Judge
no,
Dover,
I-
none
What
of
did
them
she
was
do to earn a
responsible to
living?
help this child.
What did she do
None
to earn a
of them.
living? Why don't you stop it? You're
She
contributing
works.
to the problem.
No, I'm not going to stop it because she's
Well, then get
lying.
out of here. You're out. Take her out of here. Escort
She
her out of
works
here.
for a parking lot in South Carolina with my stepdad.
She does what?
She works in a parking lot with my stepdad
A
in South
parking lot
Carolina.
attendant. With your stepdad.
Yes.
How many people does it take to run a parking lot? And by the way, where in South Carolina?
Myrtle Beach.
For what business?
It's just a parking lot that they park cars. They pay daily for parking cars.
All right, now, you and your husband decided to deal with this 2005. You co-signed, she did okay. Something happened, she got in love or something, and
That
now
had
we've got
nothing
this
to do with it.
2006. Well, what did have to do with it? Why'd you stop paying?
I didn't stop paying.
Well, why
I had
are we
my
here?
own
Why
house.
did they repo it then?
I had my own house that I was also paying for. I was paying for a
Well,
car.
I thought the
a house.
father of your child might have been helping you on
He
the house.
did help
The note got delinquent.
because
I also called Stephanie and asked her if she could not pay for this car, that I would come and get it. And she said I wasn't getting her car.
I did not say that.
Yes, you
No,
did.
no.
Yes, you did.
Okay, it is clearly stated that I told her to come get my car, to come get the car if it was going to
And
get
what's
repoed.
that going to
and
do
trade
for
it in.
anything? There's a repossession from non-payment.
No,
Who's
this was
going to
3
pay the
months-
note on the 2006 Kia?
This was 3 months before it got repossessed.
Well, who's going to pay the money?
And then as the
No,
car,
She
wait a minute.
agreed to help pay for it in the first place.
Why don't you get your boyfriend to help pay for
He
it?
did help pay for it.
no, I didn't agree to help pay for it. I helped
Yes,
you
you did.
out as a creditor, and because you were young and you had no credit, to
And I
build you some
asked
credit
you-
to get you a car.
Okay, well, hold on. She's helping you out. Go ahead.
I asked you beforehand, when we all agreed on this, you know, what happens if something happens, I lose my job, or, you know, we get behind on payments, are you going to agree to help me? And
Why
you
don't you
said,
get
yes,
that?
that's fine.
And you don't appreciate that?
I do appreciate that. I've
Well,
never
what are you
stated that I
angry
don't
about?
appreciate
What are
that.
you angry about?
Because she's making me out to be a person that I'm not.
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
What's your legal defense?
Legal defense.
You signed the paperwork. What's the legal defense?
The legal defense is that she agreed to help pay the payments in the beginning, whether she wants to admit it or not.
And later today,
Why were you calling so much?
Just ask him why was he calling me so much. We was calling each other.
Now, what hold did you have over her?
I don't think I had a hold at all, but I don't know what to say about that.
It's Joe time after this.
We're back with Judge Joe Brown. The plaintiff in this case says her stepdaughter was keeping up with payments on a vehicle until she met a new boy. She says the defendant went downhill and stopped paying her. Let's take a look.
This woman's out $5,900 to protect her credit because she signed on the line to do you a favor. She didn't get to drive the 2006 Kia. Her car isn't that new.
Then after the car was in repossession, I also spoke to Stephanie and I said, you know, let's try to settle with these people to keep my credit good. I said, you know, the car is going to be repoed. Let's try to get this straightened out. And her quote was, I'm not paying for a car that I don't have and I can't drive.
That was not how it was
And
put.
that is how it was put, and
No,
unquote.
it's
Well,
not.
you don't use
Excuse
that
my
language,
Your
but
Honor.
in your writing, you do say, I'm not paying for a car. How can she expect me to pay for a car I can't drive?
No, I stated that I'm not paying for a car when it's more important to keep a roof over my daughter's head instead of paying for
Well,
a car
why
that
did you
got
get pregnant
repossessed.
knowing you had this obligation in the first place
I
to
wasn't
pay
getting-
off a car?
I
Where do you
wasn't
live at
planning
now?
to get pregnant.
By the way, you've been acting very badly in here. And if you say your father had nothing to do with raising you, then he had nothing to do with your conduct. So maybe you're reflecting the people that did have something to do with raising you.
How have I acted very badly? I haven't even got to sit here and state my case whatsoever.
You don't have a defense. You just said, what's your defense?
What she says.
What's your legal defense?
All you're going on is agreeing.
Well, you tell me, what's your legal defense?
Legal defense.
You signed the paperwork. What's the legal defense?
The legal defense is that she agreed to help pay the payments in the beginning. Whether she wants to admit it or not, that's her problem,
she
not
did.
mine.
End of discussion. You get your judgment. 5,000 in your call.
This courtroom is now in recess. It's pretty obvious the defendant had a rough upbringing, but the judge says she squandered an opportunity with this car, and her stepmother was left holding the note. The defendant is responsible now. Now, on to the next case.
Please raise your right hand.
Human Resources Rep Chanel Williams is suing her ex-boyfriend for a balance on a cell phone account. Defendant Daryl Miller says the plaintiff was a big part of the whole calling problem.
Now, tell me about it.
He had a cell phone. He had a Sprint phone.
Sprint.
Yes. And he didn't have unlimited minutes on that phone. So he asked, can I get him a phone with Intellos with the unlimited minutes? So I agreed with him saying that he was going to take care of the bill. During the time that we were together, he, was paying the bill, and then we broke up in 2007.
He moved out of town.
He moved to California and took the phone with him and used the phone while he was here, ran the bill up to actually at $770.20.
Now, I got a copy of that. Now, you can pass what you have up, but
okay.
I went through it, and there's one instance, there's 30 pages of itemization.
Right.
Now, your phone has 2395 is the last four numbers, and his has 6553.
That's correct.
I added that up, 2,300 and something are receipts of calls from you to him.
Okay.
So out of the 2,400 minutes, 2,300 are calls. There's one day you called him 82 times. Let's get back to this question. When did you break up with him?
In August of 2007 when...
August 2007.
Right.
All of this is that time you broke up.
Right.
At your age, what happens is everybody's heart's hurting and you're trying to call that person as much as you can, which is why one day I get 82 calls. Now, why were you calling so much?
Ask him why was he calling me so much. We was calling each other.
What was happening? You couldn't get anybody to answer the phone?
I don't know.
What were you doing? Just repeat call? That's what you're doing.
I don't recall
On a
that.
cell phone, you can do that. You were calling him sometimes once every 20 seconds to get him. What are you doing, obsessing?
Oh, please.
Now, what hold did you have over her?
I don't think I had a hold at all, but I don't know what to say about that. But I just...
And that's your defense. You put that down there that she was making these calls. I looked over her submission. It looked like she was making the calls. Now, somebody tell me where all this roaming charge comes in. I just see a conclusion without an itemization.
The roaming started, it was like a local unlimited phone. So when I left Virginia and came here, it was roaming because I'm out of my local home area. So in 6 days, it was crazy roaming, but the roaming was from conversation between me and her. So I feel that, I'm not fully responsible if we both, we're talking to each other. She knew that it was roaming. I told, her that it was roaming, but it's like when the bill came, it just all fell on me. Like, you pay that, like I was talking to myself, and I wasn't,
We'll be back with more Judge Joe Brown in a moment.
Where do they come from?
From him calling...
You?
Calling me. So...
We were calling each other.
Okay, we was calling each other, but so what? The bill is yours. So all I'm asking for is you to stand up and pay the bill. Like, you've been saying
Now,
since
let me
August
ask you a question.
you was going to pay
Back
the bill.
to stop that.
And you
stop,
know we
stop,
had two
stop,
separate
stop,
bills.
Stop.
I
I'm
don't
trying to
remember
help
calling
you.
him that much.
Next time this happens, you don't need to do that.
It won't happen again.
Closed captioning sponsored by...
We're back with Judge Joe Brown. The defendant in this case admits he received a phone from the plaintiff. He also admits to taking it with him when he moved out of state. He does not feel responsible for the expensive roaming charges because he says he was taking calls from the plaintiff. Let's take a look.
What was the problem?
I don't know. Moving to LA, I guess, I don't know.
It had nothing to do with you moving to LA.
What was the problem?
We didn't get along.
Well, then why are you calling him so much? I'm serious. What's the matter? Couldn't
Nothing.
admit you made a bad choice?
No.
What was the problem?
I don't
I'm trying to
remember
help
calling
you.
him that much.
Next time this happens, you don't need to do that.
It won't happen again.
And when did you break up with him?
First of all,
When did you break up with him? When
when-
did you break up with him?
It wasn't until after he actually
When?
left.
Give me a date.
I don't know. It was
What
after
year?
he left because we were still talking
What year?
after he left.
What year?
In 07.
All right. Now, I'm looking over here, the total account charges, taxes and surcharges, $21.08. Wireless service for $6,553, total charges $71.16. Now, I'm jumping here to roaming, $361.13 added on to that whole thing. But I'm looking at his account, and every single thing down here is zero.
So how
Is
is the bill
zero,
$770?
is zero, is zero, 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 etc. For 35 whole pages, it says zero. We get into the texting, and it says 0, 0, 0.
I will say it's
Now,
zero.
hold on. You can go in if you want to help her out. Roaming charges come in, but what I'm looking at is tacked onto this whole thing of some roaming charges. Now, where do they come from?
From him calling,
You.
calling me.
We were calling each other.
Okay, we was calling each other, but so what? You know the bill is yours. So all I'm asking for is you to stand up and pay the bill. Like, you've been saying
Now,
since
let me
August
ask you a question.
you was going to pay
Back
the bill.
to stop that.
And you
stop,
know we
stop,
had two
stop,
separate
stop,
bills.
Stop. You have to prove your case.
I'm trying to
Look,
tell you.
Stop. Focus. Did you two get back together?
No, we didn't. That's when the pressure came.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, here there's no charge. It's charged. Zero.
So how was the bill $800?
Because you got roaming charges on your account.
I wasn't roaming. How am I roaming? He the one that was using the phone here in
You're
California.
in Norfolk, Virginia, right?
And the Intellos company is a Virginia-based company. So how am I roaming when he's all the way in California?
Well,
that doesn't make sense.
Now, when you give me the breakdown for his number, it's showing the net total charges other than the base charge of 71 is zero.
Judge Joe Brown makes his ruling after this.
In a custody battle with your ex over the family pet? Call 877-JOE'S-LAW or visit JudgeJoeBrown.com.
You know what? I think the best way to handle this, we've got a $760 bill, $385.12. We'll split it right down the middle. You called her, but you're calling him a heck of a lot more. But that's about the best I'm going to do. $385.12 and your cost. And half of that's because he's gracious enough to at least acknowledge he's talking, because if I'd left it on proving it, you would have failed badly. So you ought to thank him. All right? There you go.
This courtroom is now in recess.
Well, at least the defendant in this case didn't deny he owed something. He just wanted his ex-girlfriend, the plaintiff, to be fair about it and pay for her portion of the cost. The judge makes her do that. We'll be right back. We're back. A lot of communication on the plaintiff's part for someone who wants her bill paid. The texting and the calls added up. The defendant said she should take some of that burden. She will. The judge splits the bill.
For information on future cases or to contact this court, check out our website at judgejoebrown.com.